Before I start today's episode, I want to give a quick shout out to Judge Gabrant. He's been supporting us for quite some time on Patreon, and we really appreciate it. It's helped us do so many great things with the show, including the KupoCon trip that we're currently at and coming home from soon. So thank you so much, Gabrant, and enjoy the episode.
From Provo, Utah, this is the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast with your hosts, Joseph DeGolier and Caleb Schweiss. This is Ultima Final Fantasy.
Welcome to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. I am your host, Caleb, and Joe is not here right now. But today, we are going to be continuing our review of Final Fantasy 15. Last time, we finished things off with the story and the gameplay aspects of Final Fantasy 15 in the longest episode of Ultima Final Fantasy to date. I'll have you note. Today we're going to be going over the art/design of the game, the music, you guys' questions, you guys' reviews, the legacy of the game as it sits 2 months in, and our overall rankings. So stay tuned for that and enjoy the episode.
How do you think this game looks, Schweiss? I mean, they created a whole new, brand new game engine. They could have used the Crystal Tools engine to make this game, and it still would have looked great.
Yeah.
What do you think about how the game looks now?
I think it's a pretty good looking game. I don't think it's the best looking game this gen, which is kind of odd for Final Fantasy. But I think it looks pretty good. I mean, I don't have any real problem with the way anything looks, other than a few little issues with the Adamantoise fight.
A few.
I think the world
Some
looks...
major fucking issues with the Adamantoise fight.
Yeah. I think the world looks wonderful. I think... I don't know. I didn't really have any visual or aesthetic problems with the game. There's no crazy zany outfits. It all felt very realistic, and I know this is something that they focused on, the sort of fantasy and reality concept, and I think all of that was fleshed out quite well. I mean, Cindy is the one that's definitely fan service mode with what she's wearing. It's like there's no way she can close the vest. Like, the jacket's just not going to close. And that's by design. We don't want it to close.
Stole a child's vest and put it on.
Yeah, she saw Vaughn's vest in FF12 and was like, I kind of want one of those. And she got one. So I don't know. I don't really have any issues with the game. I think the hair, which is I know something they really focused on, it looks really good. The animation's pretty fluid. I didn't run into very many glitches when it came to that, other than the Adamantoise fight. And overall, I think the game looks pretty damn good.
I agree that overall the game does look pretty damn good. There are some graphical little glitches here and there, besides the major ones in the Adamantoise fight.
Right.
I don't think it's a perfect looking game, which after coming off of the highly polished Final Fantasy 13,
yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess this game is technically better graphically, but I don't think that the graphics are as seamless as they were in 13. The characters themselves, the character models, are more detailed. Certainly there's something a little bit more blocky about FF13, but there's nothing that looks out of place or kind of bad, which I feel like minor issues with the graphical quality in 15. Sometimes that does happen.
Okay.
But other than that, I think, yeah, it's a great looking game. I honestly was pretty blown away by the Disgaea demo. I remember that.
Yeah.
And I don't think the game looks as good as it did in the Disgaea demo.
Yeah.
I feel like there was more textures or something in the Disgaea demo that wasn't in this. And I know they had to downscale some stuff in order to get it to play in the full frame rate or whatever they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I thought it looked great. And the... What's different about this game as opposed to most of the other Final Fantasy games is a lot of the cutscenes are you're doing things as dialogue is happening, which is rare for a Final Fantasy game. I mean, in FF7 and FF8, you could move around in some pre-CGI, in the CGI cutscenes.
Yeah, right as the cutscene started.
Yeah, that was kind of a you didn't do that too often.
Yeah.
In 13, they almost wanted the seamless gameplay into cutscene transitions, so that was a big part of it, and there wasn't that many pre-rendered cutscenes. The parts that were pre-rendered looked excellent.
Yeah.
And the game, of course, looks good regardless of that, so the in-game cutscenes look great too. I mean,
Yeah, they do.
So I thought it was a great looking game. The design is much less 2006 emo-y than Nomura's stuff was originally. Apparently, they brought in some designers. Some of them were actually American to kind of recalibrate the characters to this new version of Versus 13 into 15. And I definitely prefer this version of the character designs. I think it looks pretty good. I think Noctis does kind of look a little bit on the
emo 2006 side.
Emo side, but it's like, well, we do have to say that it's the same game, so we can't go crazy with the redesign.
Yeah, we want to still be able to recognize him as that character.
And his super fashiony hair, I don't know. I don't dig it, but it's fine. It's fine. I like him when he looks like Jack Sparrow after he comes out of the...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You say Keanu Reeves. I say a little bit of Jack Sparrow in there.
Yeah.
As he comes 10 years later.
Dude, I just wonder how ashamed
I almost think that should be the main Noctis. I mean, personally, if I'm going to be nitpicky, I don't really like the Japanese boy band look. But, it's fine for what it is.
I just wonder how disappointed his father would be seeing that man's beard
him next
afterwards.
to his father is like...
What?
One of these men is not like the other.
Yeah, this guy's got like 10 hairs on his chin, and his dad's like fucking awesome.
Nordic god.
Yeah, his mom was Japanese and his dad was Icelandic.
Yeah.
It's just fucking epic beard, and now it's
just different. It's just really
gone.
odd.
Yeah, it is
really
weird.
odd clash.
He's like, no son of mine at the end. That's why he stabs you through. He runs you through in the end. It's
like all the jokes from Conan when he was playing the game, talking about they were the other members of NSYNC trying to get Justin back into the band, which was hilarious, by the way. And that's kind of what they look like. And a lot of people have made fun of that aspect. And it is funny. You still like the characters, though, so it's not like the design, I think, for me, it doesn't take away from
it doesn't distract.
I mean, some of their costumes are kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. There's just some outfits that I thought were kind of flamboyant. But I don't know. I think otherwise it's great. Great looking game.
Yeah, I think that the graphics serves us very well.
Graphics are great. I like the creature design in this game a lot, especially the big bosses were great.
Yeah.
Yeah, what else to say about it? It just looks good. It doesn't. Yeah, you're right. I don't think it's blown me away graphics wise, especially after 13, which I think was like a graphics showdown of like, we're gonna do the PS3, everything the PS3 can do.
Yeah.
And I think this one, because it was probably because it was more focused, not only because it was a new engine, they were dealing with that, but probably because it was focused more on an open world feel, couldn't really have the same type of, I think, lighting detail that they could in 13.
Yeah, it's not possible.
As much control in order to have so many pixels on the screen at one time or whatever, or polygons. Which of course this is dealing in the millions apparently. Like it's supposed to be sick amount of polygons.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything.
It's just something you're gonna have to deal with. But it is technically better looking, I would say. And I could tell. There are some aspects, like you said, the pre-rendered backgrounds look fucking amazing because they're pre-rendered backgrounds. It's like super detailed, but in this one they made it open world, so they don't have that.
I don't think there's anything that looks as good as the beach scene in FF13. But once again, like you have to deal with like in-game shit in this one that they didn't do in 13.
Yeah.
In 13, they of course had a different idea. They controlled where the camera was, and obviously they controlled how many things were loading at the same time.
Right.
And in this, there's no loading screens outside of chapters and going into a new area with the
fast traveling.
Speed thing. And they are fucking long loading screens and annoying.
Long.
But you can walk from place to place with no loading screen, and it's an extremely detailed, huge environment. So you're losing maybe the perfection of 13 in the wide scope, but you're gaining kind of this other stuff too.
Yeah, certainly.
So.
And 13 was a hallway for most of it.
Yeah.
I mean, Grant Pulse is still fantastic looking though, so that's not really an explanation for that, I suppose.
Yeah. I think it's a really good looking game. I don't think it's quite the step up that maybe some people were thinking it was going to be.
Yeah, no, it's not like when I put in Doom, when I finally downloaded Doom on my computer, and I was like, oh my god, like this is the best looking fucking game I've ever played. Like, it wasn't like that, but
Right.
it's
good looking.
It's a different game, so it works. Yeah, it's not a downsize at all. I think they did a good job. So,
All right, you want to talk about music?
yes. So Final Fantasy 15's main composer, we've been talking about this lady a lot today, Yoko Shimomura. She also composed Parasite Eve, as well as just an absurd amount of Final Fantasy games. A lot of Parasite Eve, a lot of Kingdom Hearts, Mario and Luigi, Rise of Mana. She's all over the place. She's like one of the many great composers that Square Enix has in their back pocket, and they can just like summon at any moment.
I would argue, because of the Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy 15, I would argue, for me aesthetically, she's my second favorite to Nomura. And in fact, not Nomura, sorry, Nobuo Uematsu.
Okay.
And in fact, this may be one of my favorite Final Fantasy scores. Now, I know you have some problems with when it's used, and we'll get to that in a second. There's not a single track on this game that annoys me. Many of the tracks fill me with awe. I don't think I'm ever going to get sick of the Somnus score or like the battle themes or anything. The final boss theme with Arden was great.
Yeah.
And I dug the shit out of that. I loved the score of this game. I even liked the ending song cover that they chose for this game. I thought that was great too, and that wasn't her, obviously. But
Yeah.
I thought the music was great in this game. There's nothing that I'm listening to in this soundtrack that I would be embarrassed by.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good...
and that happens usually once or twice in every of these Final Fantasy games, or many if it's FF8.
Yeah. So I think this is something I've been saying for a few weeks. I think that when the soundtrack to this game is great when it's great, and it's fine everywhere else. I think the orchestral pieces where they've got like the chorus when Ramuh gets summoned is like one of the best things in the fucking world.
It's just huge sounding.
I'm just like, oh my god! And like the fight against Titan, fucking phenomenal. The fight against Leviathan blows me away. But there are a lot of points in the game where the music is just
It's ambiance. Or something.
It's ambient, and even more so than Final Fantasy 12, I would say. Like, it's less memorable than 12 in those moments, but it has higher highs.
All right, maybe that's it. Maybe I'm just noticing the higher highs, because I'm not noticing the lows.
They're high.
Someone says something about, I'm surprised you guys don't hate Altissa's music, but I can't remember Altissa's music, so maybe that's another thing.
It sounds very French kind of sounding. It's like...
But it's also mixed kind of low, so maybe...
I also hate Altissa's layout, so maybe I just go there with a sense of dread.
There you go.
I forgot to talk about that in gameplay. Town sucks. It's not very big. It's just really complicated to get around. Yeah. And whoever did the layout, I hope they were publicly hung in the city, within the city, not in real life. I hope whoever made the city plans for Altissa was executed. Because
after they were fired, and they were like, we have to stick with the city. And they made a little model of him.
Yeah, they just burn him in effigy every night in the town square.
Altissia, right?
Yeah. He's one of the people at the end. It's not Nyx, it's the Altissia guy.
Oh my god.
Arden's like, fuck this guy, dude. I hate this fucking town. I hate it. Come with me.
2,000 years and I still don't understand the layout.
Yeah, I still get lost knocked. But I think there are some great tracks in this game, and I think she is a top tier composer at Square Enix. I think she does a really good job. I'm not sure if I like her more than Soken and 14 necessarily. I think they're pretty comparable, but I think her big pieces I like more than Soken's big pieces.
Yep.
The only one that might compete with it is the
Soken stays on sort of the rock and roll side, which I like, but she is a little bit more classical.
And I fucking love classical music because it's huge.
Yeah.
Classical music is metal from forever ago.
There you go.
That is exactly what that shit is, dude.
And I dig the shit out of it.
Yeah, and I think it's huge. I think it's a blast. I would say she's on par with him as far as composition goes, and there's some great stuff. Now, one of the almost double-sided blades in this game, I would say, is the ability to turn on music from the car. You
Still
can
haven't found FF6's score.
You can unlock different tracks from vendors to listen to classic pieces in the car. And I initially was in love with this idea. I was in love with it. I thought it was fantastic. It's like, man, I can go back and listen to all my favorite tracks from 7, from 10. And now that I'm thinking about it, I don't really like it that much. Like, the idea of it is really cool, but I think the game should be able to stand on its own two legs with its own soundtrack and not have to worry about.
I don't understand why it
rest
didn't
of it.
have its own soundtrack as one of the options.
It
had Kingslave.
There were original ones, but it was like weird, almost like J-pop kind of stuff. I don't know what it was. It was odd. I just changed it.
I thought they were all from different games.
Maybe they were
crazy.
Maybe I wasn't paying attention. I don't know for sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I don't think you can use it while you're on the Chocobo, and that's probably the only time I would have wanted to, because the Chocobo theme, much like in Final Fantasy XI, I don't need it. After the first 30 minutes, I know what the theme is, and it drives me to a place of anger and of pain. That mount theme in 11, I had to turn the fucking volume off because I was like, I can't do the din 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 any longer. And it was kind of the same thing in 15. I like the Chocobo theme well enough. It's just after a while, using the Chocobo all the time, I'm like, oh, and the chat says you can't use it. So, not okay with that. I think that would have been the one time. You know what I'm saying? Like the theme of it just gets kinda...
I didn't use the Chocobo enough to get annoyed by it.
Really?
So yeah, my personal experience is I liked the music and I was never annoyed by anything in the music, which is an important thing for me.
That is good. I mean, there's usually one or two tracks, like you said, that drive you nuts. Like even in 6, even in 6, where it's the auction house thing.
Yes,
that one's bad.
That one's terrible.
That
one might have
bad.
been 5s, but that was still bad.
Yeah, there's usually one or two that I'm like not too keen on, but for the most part, I do think it had really high highs, like I said. And overall, I would say I have a positive feel towards the soundtrack. I'm glad I have the Super Mega Ultra Hog version of the game that has the soundtrack in it. I'm glad I have that. Yeah. Now, the bad part is that it's on a fucking Blu-ray, and I can't listen to it on my CD player when I go to sleep at night because I don't have a Blu-ray alarm clock thing, so I'm not some fucking freak.
Yeah, I think it fits the same way as the FF10 Super Ultra Hog edition that had the Blu-ray soundtrack that had a shitload of tracks in it. If you had a Blu-ray drive, you could copy the files over.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'll do that because I like listening to music when I go to sleep, so...
I think you could.
I don't know.
If not, there was like a big, huge slideshow anyway.
I'll find out some way. But for now, I'll just use my FF5, FF6 one. The only bad side to that is that the Terra's theme is like 16 tracks in or something like that. I'm like, that's all I want. It's just Terra. Just fucking fast forward.
Great song.
It is. It's the ultimate song, I think. But I have great feelings towards the soundtrack. I think it's really good.
I dig the shit out of it. It's one of my favorite aspects of this game. And it was since the beginning, like just trailer music. I mean, they've kept kind of the same music. I think she probably her, and I guess someone's saying that there was another composer involved in this game. I think they probably just composed like, I don't know, maybe 30 tracks for the game and then called it good, moved on, and then throughout development, that was kind of the music that they stuck to.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I like it.
The case.
I don't know if I like it quite as much as you, because I do feel like there are some lesser aspects, but there's some really fun tracks and really great listens. So
okay.
I think it's a positive force in the game.
All right. Well, do you want to answer some questions?
Yeah, let's pull some up. Oh, man. So a couple weeks ago, when we were getting prepped for this, we asked you guys what kind of questions you had for Joe and I for Final Fantasy 15. Corey, the first to strike. Did the cup noodle commercial make you feel as dirty as it did me?
No.
Kinda, but I thought...
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
It's funny, but yeah.
It was probably the funniest quest in the game.
He says, next, what was your favorite quest?
Ooh. I like the photography quest line.
I think the last photography one was probably one of my favorites, where you go fight the topless chick coming out of the photo.
Yeah, that was cool, yeah.
And it was a hunt.
that.
2 birds with 1 stone.
I like that.
I would say that one, or the Deadeye, or the zoo hunt. Yes, those ones I would say.
Adamantoise was cool up until the actual fight.
Yeah.
a great one, too.
See, he says, what was your least favorite quest or set of quests?
Fishing.
Yeah, fishing.
Yeah, I just don't like fishing. Sorry. And every time that guy told me to go get tags, it was like, fuck.
Dave. Yeah.
How many Dave quests?
Like,
do
how
you need
many
in this game?
hunters are even left at this point? Like, you guys keep dying left and right, and they're so okay. The problem with the hunter quests is they're supposed to be you grabbing dog tags from fallen enemies, right? But we don't get any inkling of like how they died, or any sort of like connection to the characters, which is sort of it's kind of like the whole reason why you're going and grabbing these is to like give solace to the family members of the fallen, but we don't really have anything to cling to, and that's why
some tags.
And that's why it just felt like filler to me, and that's why I didn't really care for those ones as much.
It was.
I would say least favorite set of quests though, probably Frog Lady. The last one.
Oh my god, you're right.
The last one is,
Nope, yep, that's it.
is absolutely atrocious.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
There's no
fuck
way.
those fucking frogs, man.
There's no way I would have ever. I like the idea of like they're invisible until you kind of move the camera around, but the last one is awful. They're just random. She doesn't tell you anything about where they are. Like, oh, check around water. It's like,
I only found one naturally. I had to go online and look at the rest of them. And even then, I would be like looking online. It would tell me where to go, and I'd be like, "Where the fuck is that from?" I hate it. I hate that shit.
yeah, I wasn't big on it. And it's just another thing to just add some more time to your play. I'm like, dude, come on. So not big on those. He also says, did Kingsglaive leave you with the impression that Ravus was dead? Yes, I thought he was. Remember when he burned his arm?
Oh yeah.
He put the ring on and he fucking melted his arm. Did you think he was dead?
I did think he was dead. Now, I don't even know why I didn't think about that during the game. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, I was like,
oh yeah, probably because I wanted to block out that fucking terrible movie from memory.
he said, I totally thought he was dead and had no idea who the white-haired character that looked like him during the game was actually Ravus until the boat trip after Chapter 8, and they were talking about his missing arm. Did you crash the car? No, but my roommate did.
Like crash it permanently or what?
Yeah.
Semi-permanently?
Someone in our group said they crashed it after doing the Piteos dungeon and they didn't save. So like you get a game over screen when you crash the flying one, and he just died and it was gone.
I didn't even know you could crash that thing. Like I've hit the corners and like did some damage to the car.
Yeah, driving normally.
No, I didn't do it.
All right, fair. Did you fight Yojimbo? He's a monster in one of the dungeons, and he was surprised to see him. Yeah, I fought Yojimbo a few times. He was also one of the late game hunts.
He's in it a lot.
Yeah, he's just one of the normal enemies. I think he might not have beaten it. by this time. I'm currently on chapter 9 and have a lot of questions about the character or Chancellor character, but I'm hoping my questions will be answered while I finish the game. Nope.
Sort of.
Look forward to hearing the review. Well, glad you can. Alistair said, do you think the game actually benefited from being open world, and why?
You know what? I think it did benefit from being open world. I think that obviously this is an early effort from Square Enix to do a game like this, and it kind of shows in its simplicity. I think we would look upon it like if this same game, not as good of graphics, came out, I don't know, 10 years ago from Square Enix, it would be a groundbreaking game.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But at this moment, there are better Western RPGs that do the open world thing more fluidly.
Yeah.
And so in that case, it is a downer for a lot of people. But as a Final Fantasy fan, I did like this new aspect of the open world thing, and it's certainly a better way of dealing with I don't think we would be able to buy an open world map. Like, I don't think as a player we'd be able to the world maps that are in the PS1 games or before then. You know how they're all kind of like you go around the whole planet thing? Like, you might be able to do that, but if you couldn't go to every single place, we'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's true.
So
I think
they dealt with it as good as they could. I think it's a beautiful world to explore.
Yeah.
And I like a lot of it. Certainly a lot of it is just like the regular world where it's a lot of nothing.
Yeah. It's like it's a beautiful world when it's a beautiful world, and then sometimes it's just Kansas where it's just flat, and I hate it.
See, I walked 80 miles this summer, and there's some areas that are amazing and some areas where it's just kind of dry and crappy.
Yeah, and then there's the other 79 and a half miles.
You don't step on a rattlesnake as you're walking along. So,
yeah, I would say
I like it.
I would say the gameplay benefits from it being open world, but I don't think the story necessarily did. And I think the story was stronger when it was streamlined. And I don't know
but
that's
forced its own streamlinedness on it. So I think it did okay.
I don't know if that's necessarily because it was, like you said, they forced the linearity, or if it because they limited the open world. I don't know. I think the implementation of the side quests is kind of what makes the open world not work as well, in my opinion.
Because it's like chunking.
It makes you forget the first part of the game, because you do the first little chunk, you get to chapter 4, and you're like, yes, side quests. And the side quests, I have my gripes. But, it kind of takes you off of the campaign, and you almost forget what you were doing 30, 40 hours later. And I don't know. So I'd say it's kind of a mixed bag with the whether or not it benefits. And I think gameplay-wise, I do think it does. Like the combat, I think it greatly
and
benefited.
Battles.
Yeah.
I think,
That's what I loved in 12.
I think random battles are just a thing of the past at this point.
Isn't that something that you liked in 12 eventually, is like the openness of the battle?
I did, but I don't think 12's open worldness worked as well as this one did.
See, I think I liked it more.
I'm not talking about the map.
Totally
I'm talking about the
different
creatures within the map.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess this one works pretty well, actually. Yeah. I like that. Let's see. Haley Blue 156 says, what do you think was missing from the game? Did you feel any emotions toward the ending of the game? Did the ending surprise you? And in what way? What do we think was missing? We pretty much covered that, I think, in the story.
I think we covered that in the story aspect. As far as gameplay is concerned, oh, man. I don't know, man. There's a lot that this game offers. I guess just better hunts would be my thing. Maybe just like 13 or 12, maybe less hunts, but cooler hunts would have been the way to go.
Yeah, there's like 90 something hunts, I think. There's a lot. I got like pages and pages of hunts that I did. So maybe that is part of it. Maybe they just tried to go a little overboard.
Maybe a little bit more quantity and less, or quality and less quantity.
Also, one of Tabata's things that he does, Crisis Core. You remember me talking about the side quests and that?
Yeah.
Stupid stupid and the same thing.
Okay. All right.
Would have done it if they wouldn't have started doing death all the time, but it's kind of just the filler mode. He just throws in some sad ending and fills the rest of the game up with
in some sad. I actually did feel some emotions. I felt some emotions of awe at how amazing the fucking middle section was with the Leviathan and Lunafreya dying and all that other stuff. I also thought the ending was beautiful, despite me maybe not understanding it the first time through. The emotion of the four friends, like, it pulled me through the game, and I thought the very ending, and coming back to when they were pushing the car, I just thought it was beautiful. I thought it was a wonderful ending, and I had one single eye kind of water up a little bit, and so in which case it was a good ending. I loved it.
Yeah, I don't cry, so that shit didn't happen. But I thought the ending was great. I don't know if I was really surprised by it. I mean, I guess I'm surprised it ended that way if I look back to the beginning. But we were being told by Bahamut that we were going to die, so that part of it not super surprising. But I am surprised at the ambiguity of the ending. Not that it's more the way they made it ambiguous rather than it being ambiguous, because Final Fantasy is kind of laden and heavily laden with these weird, complex plot lines that don't really make sense sometimes.
So we take it.
And that's not why this one is ambiguous. It's not ambiguous because it doesn't know how to explain itself. It's intentionally ambiguous, and I think that's why I really love the ending. Yeah. It's great. So, good questions, Haley. Silver Shade says, personally, I felt the story was a little thin. Not sure if either of you feel that way, but if you do, what would you have liked to see added to the story? I think we covered that pretty well.
That. There's expository scenes missing, and then the scene in the World of Ruin needed to be there.
Yeah. Batman 2J, what did you think of the final dungeon? Beat you to it, Shinru, he says. But seriously, do you guys think the Western RPG style works for Final Fantasy? Would you prefer the series to continue in this open world style of gameplay and perhaps sacrifice certain story elements? Or would you like to see a more linear game but with amazing story?
I liked dungeon design in this game.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot. And it's
fun.
not all dungeons are necessarily classic dungeons, but some of the dungeons are like little canyons or something like that, or like a riverway or some other shit.
Yeah.
Or like the trail up the mountain is considered a dungeon in the game. I thought that the dungeons, for the most part, the ones that I experienced, there's some extra ones I haven't touched, I think they're really great. And I think they add a lot to the game, especially in the extra gameplay aspect mode.
Yeah.
So
I thought they were fun too. Final Dungeon was... It was cool.
That's just Insomnia.
Insomnia,
right?
Yeah, I would say Insomnia.
I thought it was very cool. Yeah.
I think the final area is garbage. The World of Ruin, but I do think the final dungeon was a lot of fun. Going back through and seeing the city fucking wrecked. It's the first time we're back. I mean,
I did think World of Ruin was going to be bigger, and apparently it was.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do we think the Western RPG style works for Final Fantasy? I would agree with what Joe said earlier. It's kind of almost a shadow of what is to be in the future if they continue on with this. I don't know if I necessarily want them to.
I think they can do a better job at it.
Yeah, I do too.
But this feels like
more worlds, more areas, I would say.
Yeah.
I need to see more and
maybe different textures. With 13, we got a different texture for each area. With this game, it's a lot of kind of like FF12. It's a lot of kind of,
realistic looking places.
I would say, yeah, it's not just realistic, but also kind of
You're gonna give me
a temperate zone.
Oh, okay. It's step climate garbage again.
FF12 was a step climate. This is a temperate zone.
How many times are we gonna have to hear you fucking say that? It's a step climate.
It's because I learned what it was in junior high, and I was like, Utah in this area is a step climate, and further to west, it's desert. So, because I know what step climate is, I'm able to see step climate everywhere I go.
All right,
that
fair.
has a step climate. So, but this is more of a mountainous sort of thing. I mean, there are some step climates.
I saw them. Yes, there are.
There's also some like Arctic areas as well. And,
unnaturally so, but yes.
Yeah, I certainly wish there was more textures to the game than just like the one large region that we're at. But then again, it is a massively large region.
Yeah.
So I can't really complain.
And I know someone in the chat or somewhere commented that Altissia they like hid the smallness of the city by the complex like ways to get around.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree with that because it's not a very big area.
Then again, I hated running through Rabanastre in 12, so I'm not sure if I love huge cities and games, but
yeah.
Listalem's pretty big, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not huge.
It's fine. Yeah.
It's pretty big.
All right. I don't know if I necessarily want them to sacrifice certain story elements, but I don't necessarily think they have to. I think in a way, this game kind of does it okay. When it's
reading right now, right?
When it's story time, they go heavy on the linearity, and the open world sort of takes a back seat. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It is an odd thing, I would say.
Are you reading right now?
No, I'm talking to you.
It looked to me like you were reading and you were talking, and I was like, hold on, is this his opinion or
no?
Else?
This is me.
Okay.
I'm saying it sort of benefits from the open world, but at the same time, you can still crack down and be like, all right, it's time to do story, and you do story.
Well, that's what happened in this game.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Super open, and then if you wanted to continue with the story, you could.
It's almost like it did the 13 thing,
and then once
in the
you
opposite
decided
order.
that was the case, you were stuck there till chapter 13.
Yeah. I would say it's
maybe
almost
more opportunities to return back would be good.
Yeah, it's the almost opposite as Final Fantasy 13, where it's super linear
Sort
until
of,
you
but
break out into the open world.
There's more opportunities to.
Yeah, there are. Oh yeah.
And
I would say
it makes them very noticeable.
Skullhottie says, how fucking beautiful is this game? How fucking beautiful is it? Tell me how pretty those stars are at night and how majestic each of those individual feathers on that giant-ass bird is.
It's pretty.
It is. He said that's all, honestly.
It doesn't blow my mind like FF13 did with the PS3.
Yeah.
But it's pretty.
Oh, wait. Also, were you confused about the ending? It took me a day of thinking about it until I really understood. I love the ending, but it can easily get very confusing, especially if you stop to do side quests for 40 hours. Agreed.
Yeah, I had some confusion.
And it's not necessarily that it's confusion. It's just ambiguous to us. There's some good evidence for them not being dead.
See, I wasn't sure if he was talking about the fucking Arden plot line.
You know what? Part of the reason why the Arden plot line is so difficult is because during that cutscene with the crystal, the music is like ridiculously loud.
Oh, I had subtitles on.
I did too. Dude, I did too, but it's only because Stolas told me to turn them on because that part is so awfully mixed.
I didn't even think about that.
It's like our FF15 release episode, but worse. Like, I cannot hear what that motherfucker's saying to me, and that's important stuff right there. That's him telling you exactly what happened to him. And it's like, he's
didn't notice.
Can I please get the orchestra to turn off?
I didn't notice that.
But yeah, that's a small area of pain. Let's see. Wannabe says, I feel 15 has a very strong division between gameplay, really fucking solid, a lot of fun, and story, what the fuck just happened, and why are you helping me now? So it begs the question, what is the most important part of a Final Fantasy game? Is it story? Is it gameplay? Is it somewhere in between? What makes 15 a Final Fantasy game besides the title?
I think to me the most important part of Final Fantasy is story.
Yeah. I would agree, but I like the story in this game.
I think it's important that it has good gameplay along with it. Certainly, I rank 13 kind of low because the story's not that great.
It's certainly not the gameplay.
The gameplay may be my favorite, so I don't know. On the day, but yeah, 13 is a battle system that I really love, and I think I can really get into it.
Yeah, that's why I love 12 as much as I do, because of the battle system, because I love playing the game.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily love the grand narrative that it is.
I like aspects of the stories.
Yeah,
but
it needs to be a good balance. I think
my rankings are usually based on story, primarily.
Yeah, mine are too. So it's a Final Fantasy almost first and a video game second. So I can forgive some crappy gameplay if I get a good enough story. I can also forgive a lesser story if I get some really fun gameplay. So
that's true. I would say if FF5 has good enough gameplay that it like eclipses.
We put it above 4,
problems.
and 4's story is much better than Final Fantasy 5's story, I would say. until the very end.
Yeah, I feel like the ending of FF5 is good.
Is way good. It's super solid.
FF4's ending's not.
Yeah, but it's enough. The gameplay was enough to make us jump 5 over 4. So I guess the real answer is, I don't know. It just depends. If one's way better than the other, then that's the one at the time. Hat says, FF15 spoiler. How do you feel that Gladiolus and Eris's father, Clarus, Cydia, died in the Kingsglaive movie, yet neither Eris nor Gladio brought it up or even seemed to struggle with it in the game?
already talked about it.
We did.
Moving on.
Great question, though. Jay Heltonator says, what were your thoughts on the battles where Noctis goes full hog? Arden and Leviathan were awesome visually, but this game was way too easy. I wanted there to be more HP for all the bosses. I only had one game over in the entire game, and that was because I didn't realize you couldn't let that initial health bar drop during the full hog part of the last boss.
I had too much fun playing that I cared about how challenging it was.
Yeah.
And I thought like random enemies were challenging, but they're not challenging in the way that I'm going to get fucking game over, because I find game overs fucking frustrating. One of the great things about 13, despite a lot of game overs, is that it has a retry button.
Yeah, thank God for that fucking retry button.
Thank God for you. But obviously they couldn't do that because this game is not as linear and it's not quite set up in the same way.
Yeah, it's
with
just different
save
layout,
points and
yeah.
everything like that. So I don't know. I dug it. I wish there was a hard mode. That'd be good.
Yeah, exactly.
They might patch that in, but
level 1 run is probably the hard mode right now.
Yeah, probably.
But I agree, and normal was pretty easy.
Normal was easy. I think I died twice, and it's mostly to do with that fucking dungeon.
Yeah.
Did you do that dungeon? Did you fight all those fucking motherfuckers with the Naga and the Iron Giants?
Yeah.
Because there's one more Iron Giant every time you go down there.
Yep.
And you got to go down there multiple times.
It's crazy. It is. I kind of do agree. I think it should have been tougher. And like I said earlier,
that was a bonus thing.
Yeah. I don't think the Leviathan thing is a fight so much as an interaction.
Which I liked. I liked that little aspect.
It worked. Yeah, it worked. I just don't think it's...
It made it a lot more cinematic than a normal Final Fantasy would, where it would just be, okay, we're going to fight this gigantic Godzilla creature, but we're just going to kind of stay in the same mode.
I think it works in that aspect. All right, let's do Shinru's
It
mega
added to the
list.
scale, and I liked it a lot.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Shinru asks, thoughts on the graphics? Did you see those lighting and shadow effects? Yeah, those were actually pretty good. I think that part of it was good. Did you look at the night sky? There are actually falling stars and stuff. It's insane. Hair physics good. Yes. Did you buy all the extra soundtracks? I did, but I don't think Joe found
I
them
didn't
all.
find FF6 because I was missing it, and I was like, I don't know what's going on with it.
Did you listen?
A lot of the times I was like, why don't they have certain tracks on here? Like they had one track per expansion of FF11. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, there was actually...
Don't they have more room for more tracks on here?
I feel like there was a lot of stuff for 11, but I only listened to it like twice, and I was like, I'm done with the car.
Well, there was stuff from there. I think there was like one track from Wings of the Goddess.
Oh, really?
Like it said 4 CDs, but there weren't like a full list of tracks on each CD. It was just like a couple.
Did you listen to the FF15 soundtrack or classic FF tracks more? Probably classic when I was in the car.
Okay, well, maybe I just missed the FF15 soundtrack.
Maybe
I didn't see it in there.
Did you buy the portable music player from the car shop so you could listen to music while walking? I did, but I never used it. I think that's kind of dumb. I think they should have music around the world that captivates me enough that I don't need to have an MP3 player in my ear.
Did you play Justice Monsters 5?
Yes.
I played it a total of 1 time to get the trophy. I didn't understand the game at all, and I just went ahead and said, fuck it.
Yeah, I don't like it. Let's see. Favorite male party member other than Noctis? I don't know. I like them all, kind of.
It depends on the situation. I like Ignis a lot.
I liked Gladiolus a lot until he was kind of a dick, and then I was like, he seems a little over the top. But Ignis is like...
Ignis is sweet.
Dude,
I like him.
Ignis is like a fuckface all the time, though. He's like...
I like him.
He's like so bossy about everything, and he's just like, it's like he's your mom. Like he's that one friend that you're like, everyone's having a good time.
I like him, except when he's a fucking puss about driving around at night.
Yeah,
fuck that guy.
He's like, he's like knocked.
I I can't.
I do like him though. I think I actually might like him the most. It's tough. I think Gladiolus is awesome. He's fucking hardcore. But
Prompto can actually be pretty funny. I thought he was going to be really annoying. A lot of people told me he was.
I think he's funny. Yeah.
I find him mostly funny.
Yeah.
He ain't no Riku, and I thought he was going to be. Like, it's the annoying character, but I don't think that annoying character exists in this game. Thank God.
Yeah,
by the
finally.
way.
I agree though. I laugh when in the very opening cutscene when Prompto's lying on the ground and he's talking about like being super exhausted after pushing the car. Like I actually laughed at that. I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. This guy's great. But Ignis is probably the coolest, and it's almost surprising how much of a badass he is because he's the chef. Like he's my roommate. He's the guy that cooks and has glasses, but he's crazy. I think they did a really good job with the characters. Maybe not so much the development of them, but they're all likable enough in their own way. So it's a toss up between him and Gladdy. Those handstand push up things that's hard to beat. I mean, those zoo tenders, pretty fucking good. But yeah. Let's see. Did you explore all the extra dungeons? Yes, to some extent I did. Except for Pidios.
I explored a lot. I don't know if I hit all the dungeons. I didn't try to, I don't think.
What did you think when you went into the first dungeon / cave?
Oh, well, I played the demo, so it was actually kind of like a watered down version. So
Yeah.
I wasn't that impressed with it, but there are dungeons that go past what the demo had in it.
Yeah.
So that was my own personal experience with it.
I thought they were cool. I like the dungeons. Favorite dungeon? I actually like Castlemark. It's really uninspired later on. Castlemark Vanilla is atrocious, is a crime against man. Castlemark without items is actually pretty fun. It makes me the most angry I've been in a long time because it's so fucking brutal, and sometimes you're fine against the group of squidmen, and sometimes the squidmen just bend you over and kind of take you. So I think it's fun though. The challenge aspect is really good in that dungeon.
I dig the volcano
That's
and
probably
then
my
the
favorite.
other sort of mountainous one that you go up and gotta fight.
The
big boss at
Grove
the top.
one? Yeah,
Yeah.
the one with oh shit, what is the thing at the
I mean,
top
they're
of that?
outdoor dungeons, but I think both of those are my favorite.
Okay, that's fair. Favorite boss fight?
Oh,
We already did Final Dungeon Thoughts, so
favorite boss fight? Shit, I liked Ifrit a lot.
all right.
I guess if we're not talking about story, I mean, I was just blown away by Leviathan, just the cinematics of it. I thought it was great. It's not so much the challenge, I guess, but I was having a lot of fun, and it was a very cool scene. If I were talking about other boss fights in the game, as far as there's the dragon at the bottom of Costmark, I thought was a cool fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that one was pretty good too.
Behemoth was fun. It's a little different than it was in the demo, but Behemoth was fun.
I liked some of the late hunts. I can't remember what they're called. It's not that they're not memorable. It's just they have really weird names. Some of those ones were really cool. The last level 120 guy I fought to get the Zwillblades? Yes, Zwillblades was a pretty awesome fight. It was like a mech dude that was doing this laser beam thing. I think there were a lot of good boss fights, but I think as far as the story ones go, probably Leviathan, even though it's not really a fight, I don't think. It works. Thoughts on the final boss fights? Kind of went over that. We did beat Adamantoise. We did get all the Armiger weapons. Joe, did you finally get Ultimate Blade, and did you know you can get it early on, like in FF8, getting Squall's best sword on disc 1?
Okay, I realized what the thing was wrong with, and it was just that I hadn't gotten the fucking item.
I told you.
I thought I did, and I did not.
I told you,
went and
Sid
checked
is a
with him,
fucking liar.
and
he leads you on.
I thought I had
Did
it.
you go get it, though?
No, I didn't.
Oh, my God. All right. Fine.
I was already like done with the game at that point. By the time I was like, "Fuck, Sid, what the fuck?"
Yeah.
And then I like double checked my shit, which I hadn't done. That was probably the problem. And then I just realized, oh nope, I was wrong. I was totally wrong, and I did not get the item.
Yeah. Fine.
Helix horn or whatever it is.
Yeah. I got it pretty early, but favorite summon?
Oh,
I'm going to say Odin.
Just
kidding. Odin. The secret Odin summon, did you not get that?
No.
No, I was fucking with you. It's not in there.
It's because, I know it's not in there. I would have fucking found that out.
I would say Ramu. Probably.
Ramu is still just incredible.
Yeah, Ramu is probably one of the coolest.
I like
summons
all
in
of
the
them,
entire
though,
game.
man. They're all great.
Bahamut was cool. It's tough. I do think Ramu, because of his scale and the music and shit that goes on when he comes in, it's really good. It's great.
I like Titan, too. And I like Shiva. Fuck, I like them all. I like Shiva when she comes in to the Ifrit fight.
Yeah. No scissoring.
That was sweet.
Unfortunately. That's one thing 13 has over it. But, Shiva was a cool one, too. They're all great. Like, that's the thing, is they're all so well done. It's tough to decide on which one, but I do like Ramu.
I'd second the Ramu.
Godbeard for the win. Altissia was insanely detailed, right? Did you get lost and explore? I got lost, but it wasn't fun lost. I thought it was a weird sort of Venice kind of style layout. And
I never had a problem with the city.
Dude, the guy...
I never had a problem with it.
That's not true. I heard when you first got to Altissia, I heard you say, like, oh my God, the city layout... Like, it's a fucking maze here.
After I understood where the boat lines were, and if I had a quest on there, I'd have it on my map.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Not
I
that.
know how to get there. It's not.
It's the first time. Also, when the guy, dude, the gondola guy. The last time I went to the city, he was like gondola, and I was like, yeah, don't ever say that again. And it's like, just for that, I'm skipping your gondola ride, because that was odd. I do kind of like the Venice style, but I think the layout of the city is it's like one of those, what's that fucking artist who creates those fuck off things where it's bending over top to bottom?
I don't know.
It's one of those things where
it's
like they're so far down the rabbit hole, they're like, fuck it, we're just gonna build where we can, and it's gonna be all fucking confusing and no one's gonna know where to go, and just the city's fucked. We're just accept it, man. Accept it. We're gonna keep building on top of this and that. And it is a beautiful city, though. I love the way it looks. I just don't really enjoy navigating it necessarily. What did you think of the 4 people hanging from the ceiling at the end of the game when Arden's sitting on his throne?
Very creepy image.
Yeah.
Can't remember who everybody is.
He says, "Did you notice Nyx, Ravus, Regis, and Luna?"
Was it Luna? Really? I didn't notice. I didn't notice who it was.
Yeah, it's mostly apparitions, I think. Unless maybe he pulled them from the afterlife. Oh.
I don't know what the fuck's going on. Come on.
Theory. Did you figure out Idolus, the Emperor, was the forest guy following you around in Chapter 13 that couldn't be killed? Yes. I noticed it more the second time through. That final Ravus fight, thoughts? Afterwards, did you stay and try to fight all the enemies, or did you run off and leave your friends behind? I left them.
Yeah, I said fuck off. I started fighting the enemies, and then I got really annoyed by the Iron Giant, and I was like, nope.
That's what happened to me the first
leave.
time. He started pulling me in, and I was like, sorry, guys, I can't handle this right now, so I'm out of here.
I'm going to take all the potions and go. You mind?
Yeah. Good luck, bros. When Noctis was getting pulled into the crystal, what did you think was going to happen story-wise? I honestly had no idea. I thought I figured it was going to be some sort of afterworld Final Fantasy 14 style thing, and I actually quoted it. I was like, live, breathe,
oh my god,
eat.
Honestly, I was just on for the ride. I don't think I had a thought. I was just like, okay, let's see what happens.
All right. What was going through your mind early on in the game, like Chapter 9, in terms of where the story was going? Did you have a different guess, or did you guess correctly? I think by then I sort of had an idea of what was going to happen.
I thought he was going to do... I don't know. The twist with Arden and all that stuff, I did not foresee at all. I definitely thought it was going to be more of a us versus the Imperials, right?
Rather than us versus Arden, yeah.
But I didn't think that Arden would play both sides and then just...
Yeah, like a boss.
Rip the world apart. So I'm glad that it took me by surprise, and I thought it still felt organic. It didn't feel random.
Yeah, I thought there was something up with Arden for sure, and I didn't. Obviously, he's not a good guy.
The movie, so.
I thought it was good. I don't know if I necessarily was guessing. I just figured something was going to go wrong with him. When Noctis woke up as an adult, what did you think? I kind of already went over that. First thoughts when you saw World of Ruin? Already went over that. Did we fight the demon wall? Did it scare you the first
My
time?
first thoughts with World of Ruin, I was like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah, first thought, yes.
When he like went out onto the dock and the light was like a dark green sort of thing going on, I thought that was sweet.
Yeah. First thought was not the final thought, though. Let's see. Did we fight the demon wall? I did, and then the demon wall kind of glitched, and
I ran the fuck away.
And all that was happening with the demon wall is like its arm was poking out, and it would occasionally just massive damage me. And so I was like, "Fuck this, I'm out of here." I did kill it the second time though when I came through. Did it scare you? Not really. Did you see the toneberries? Yes, I fought many toneberries in this game. Did you fight any toneberries?
I think I did.
Okay, that's good. Because the
I'm thinking
13
about some
toneberries and the
toneberries.
15 toneberries are kind of hidden a little bit compared to the rest of the series.
I think they were in a dungeon somewhere.
Yeah. Yep, there's toneberries. Did you ever get teary-eyed, emotional, or cry during the game? No.
Answered that.
What did you think when Ignis got permanently blinded? Pretty sad, pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was something I just did not see.
Yeah, I also think that
I did not see that coming.
every photograph of Ignis from then on, he should have been like facing away from what everybody else was looking at.
Yeah,
I think that would have been an absolutely hilarious addition to the
yesterday
game.
I was joking about that final scene when they were all setting him off at the bottom of the stairs, and I just thought it would be so funny if Ignis was just like looking
Yeah, somewhere
the other
else.
direction.
Yeah, he's like facing completely around, and then Gladiolus is like, Ignis here. Just like turns him around and face him the right way. I think they could have done a lot with that.
Oh my god.
But, it was kind of sad. It was pretty crappy. When Lune got stabbed, did you see it coming or expect that she was probably going to die?
I don't know. Did you, Shinro? Because no.
Did I see it coming? No, but I wasn't super emotionally attached. Did you think it was a modern Aerith moment? Both were in a praying situation asking for help and were killed.
I don't think it's as
impactful.
It's not as set up as Aerith's. I think there's better aspects of the story that aren't that.
I don't think that's a strong point. I think that's just something that happens, and you almost don't really feel for it because you don't see her that a whole lot in the game. I
like
would
I said,
argue.
there's needs to be some more expository stuff in the
more
first act.
more build up,
and that would make that scene stronger. It's still a great scene, but it just doesn't. I didn't cry. So
Yeah.
it's like
When Noctis put on the ring finally, and you could use Death and Ultima, thoughts? I forgot that he put it on earlier. They're pretty cool. I think Death looks awesome in this game.
That was just an amazing effect.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why Chapter 13 was okay this time. I like the countering and all that stuff was fun. Did you like the magic system in the game? Already covered that. Was it better than FF8's draw system? Yep. What clothes?
Is there anything that's not?
Yeah, I don't think so. What clothes did you wear? I think I ended up with like the Kingsguard stuff in the end.
Noctis had a suit that was like Forever Sprinter.
Yeah, the My Chemical Romance suit.
Yeah,
I wore that one a lot too.
I wore that one as soon as I knew. I was like, oh shit, I can sprint all day in this thing. Let's do that.
Yeah, Joe, what did you think of Leviathan fight? Touch that. Did you ever forget to fill up your gas tank? Dude, yes, okay. One time, this fucking gas tank thing, I ran out of gas because I wasn't paying attention, and this was before I was doing a bunch of fast traveling, because I was early on in the game, so I didn't have areas unlocked, right? Car breaks down because I ran out of gas. I get it towed. I go upstairs and talk to Dwayne for like 10 minutes, and I come back down, and I get in the car, and I just drive off, and I'm like, yeah, I should probably refill it. I drive, dude, I like pull out, and then it stops again. It's like, we are out of gas. I'm like, fuck! And she charges me to tow it again. Like, I almost don't want to see her in the World of Ruin because of that shit. I had to pay her to tow me, and I'm like, oh my god, she didn't top off the fuel. Like, what? So yes, I ran out of gas one time. And it was super irritating.
I never ran. No, I ran out of gas like really close to the area I was getting to.
So you're like, I'll just deal with it later.
I towed it and I didn't care. I just did it.
I used the tow mechanic to fast travel back to Hammerhead a couple times, but that's
smart.
Yeah. Joe? Why aren't you buying the cheap $25 season pass? You get so much DLC story content, and with $25, you get it all.
Maybe I will after everything comes out.
So you're just morally opposed to it right now.
Yeah.
Do you think Arden was a good villain, and where would you rank him? Don't want to rank him yet. I think that's an interesting topic for a full episode with deep discussion. Deep, quote unquote.
Yeah, I think we might have a question somewhere that asks that and asks us to.
Yeah, Arden is a good villain.
To deal with the villains.
Yeah, I think we do actually. Yeah, there is one.
I think
so we'll deal with that. Good question though. Would you agree that this game was scarier and had more horror elements?
I guess I jumped a couple times and then like the dungeons and shit. So yeah. I'll go ahead and say it's a scarier game.
Yeah, I guess I didn't.
Not
I
as
wasn't
scary
afraid.
as fucking Parasite Eve when I'm running away from the motherfucker at the end of the game.
Yeah,
Still getting a game over.
yeah, that's pretty scary.
It's not that bad, but I guess it's for Final Fantasy, yeah.
You said Chapter 13 is awesome, right? For a change of pace. I didn't think so the first time, but it's okay.
I thought it was good.
I don't know if I'd say it's awesome, and I don't think it's scary. But I'm kind of a dick. So, did you die at any of the bosses or final boss? No. Come on, we're professionals here, Shinru. What kind of question is that?
Too many Final Fantasies in a row. I can't fuck this up.
Yeah. What did you think of kids playing this game as their first FF game and becoming fans? That's great.
Oh, I think it's a pretty good game for a first timer.
Yeah, it's not too story heavy like some of the others can be.
It's also not too JRPG-y, so there's not enough stupid shit in it. That's my thing. Like when I was talking about like little kiddie kind of cartoony or super, I don't know, stereotypically girly moments.
Yeah, this game doesn't have it really.
This game doesn't have those, and it's such a breath of fresh air, and it's a good way to get into the series. I mean, all of them have that to some extent. There's always something goofy about it.
Yeah.
And I guess Prompto is the only thing that's goofy in this game, and if that's as bad as it gets, that's nothing.
Yeah, I think it's a good place to start. It kind of doesn't necessarily honestly show what the series is, but I think it works. What did you think of the city where all the women work in the foundry? I'm not going to answer that. And the guys just walk around the town in nice clothes, buying food and stuff. Call back to FF4, Troya Castle, where it's just all women. Maybe.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird, although I will add that the one woman who gives you quests in that area is completely worthless.
Oh, yeah.
And the party, like, talks her up. They're like, oh, she's such a hard worker. And I'm
like she's fucking shirking off her
she's not a hard
job.
worker. She keeps giving it. And there's line after line of dialogue. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, what are you people talking about? She's worthless. She's like, maybe I shouldn't take on so many jobs. I'm like, oh, you think? Oh, you think maybe you should do it and not me? Like, that quest line, that one's the worst, actually.
No,
I rescind
man.
it.
Fuck that. Frogs.
Going and, like, climbing those towers and, no. Maybe not. It has a practical purpose with keeping the demons out
Frogs
with the light.
are fucking terrible. Fuck that.
I hate her, though, the most. It is kind of a callback. Did you find yourself laughing during any parts of the game? I think Prompto's line delivery, yeah. There's some funny
Prompto
moments.
said some funny shit, and then the cup noodle part made me laugh pretty hard.
I laughed pretty fucking hard at that. Yeah, it's so cheesy. Did you find any Easter eggs or classic FF references and stuff in the game? I think so, but
More than the usual?
I don't know.
I don't know what you're asking, frankly.
Yeah, you should point some of them out, and we'll talk about them, because there's always references, and there's always little things that happen, and little things you see, and it's like, oh, that's cool, that's this.
But I mean, they're Final Fantasy games, so they always call back to each other.
Yeah, so it's a really hard question
that special
to answer. Yeah, you should point those out in a post somewhere else. Did you think any of the enemies in the game are really ugly and scary looking? The mind
not
flayers.
Not as scary as when you use the death on them.
Mind flayer. Yeah, they get all super thin. They're like, I've been dieting, bro. And then they just disappear. Mind flayers, I think, were kind of gross. Freaky looking. If you were forced to marry an FF15 monster enemy, which would you choose? That's an odd question. Which?
To marry? What the fuck? I don't know. Shiva?
Shiva.
Like, do you even fight her?
I don't care. Shiva. Leviathan. Mary, that's all. I mean, if I'm going to have somebody, someone to protect me. I'm going to go Leviathan. You can do whatever you want.
Oh, shit. Maybe that scary lady in the painting.
Yeah. What about Hillary Clinton? I guess she's not a monster enemy. She might end up being one. She turns into a demon. Who knows? Who knows, man? Favorite food or you made or ate? I like the Zoo Crisps. They actually looked really tasty. And the food porn in this game is like crazy. Do you ever get hungry seeing the food? Yes. I think it looks phenomenal and it's bizarre. I think the food's delicious looking. Why hasn't Cameron beat the game yet? He's having a hard time getting into it. It'll take him some time to come around. You get the flying regalia? Yes. Does the saying, more people die to light poles in FF15 than any other enemy ring true? No, we didn't wreck it. And then his final question, before we totally give up the show to Shinru, is, do you think I'm a bad FF fan if I rank this game on my top 5 main series FF games list with FF7, FF9, FF6, FF15, FF5?
I don't think you're a bad FF fan no matter where you rank it, Shinra.
Yeah. Do what you want, dude. Do what you want.
You know I'm never going to answer that question. I think if you put FF2 at the very top, there's something fucking wrong.
If you search your heart, you know what the answer is to that.
But it ain't, so it's fine.
Fruff says, was there a part of the game that you were particularly let down by? I think we covered that pretty heavily. Mine is when Noctis comes back after 10 years being away, and when he's reunited with his friends, there's almost no grand welcome. They don't ask what happened, where Noctis has been, nothing. It's almost like, oh, hey, let's just pick up where we left off. Huge chunk of time has passed, and I just felt like
part of the game, yes.
It was handled poorly. Curious as to what you guys think. Well, you heard all sorts of it. Forgot to ask, what is the better metal song in FF15? This one? Or this one. Fuck, I don't want to do these because we're going to get banned on Twitch. We'll do that later, Shinru. He said, oh, yeah. Okay. He's defending himself going full hog because we said to do that because this is a big deal review. Oben-Ya says, Tabata hyped up Arden early on saying he would top all other FF villains. Don't have to address how he compares to the others, but as a baseline, did you like him? Do you think he wanted to die or kill Noct more?
Kill Noct more, but he also wanted to die.
Yeah, I think so for sure. A few other questions. Did you develop any go-to strategies for combat? Yeah, I ended up using Overwhelm pretty heavily, and then when I got into that Castlemark dungeon, I was using Gladiolus's impulse move like crazy because of the mass damage.
I started getting pro at dodging and parrying. That was my kind of thing.
That's a great way to deal with shit too. I did dodge parried until my
and I didn't know you could hold down the triangle to do multiple warp attacks until I did the Adamantoise fight. So I started using that a lot where I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
That was great.
Any favorite party members, techniques / skills?
Gladiolus had a slasher move that would like take a lot of things out. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I would say Ignis and Gladiolus are my favorite. Promptos are sometimes nice. Is one I can't remember what it is, but it's like a move where he just does a critical hit. That one's pretty easy to get, especially late game, so I use that a little bit, but mostly Overwhelm, and I use the boost one, I guess. Ignis has one that like boosts your damage. That one's pretty nice for Adamantoise, just those big long fights. And then Impulse. So, did you summon Titan or Leviathan? Yes and yes. Titan was kind of a pain in the ass, though. I only ended up getting him like 3 times.
I got him once.
Leviathan was pretty common.
Yeah.
Titans was cool, though. He just picks a big-ass chunk. And it's like, I think he should have picked up, like, Insomnia and just thrown it and been like, dude! He just can't beat the game. Fucking city's ruined. Arden's dead by his hand, and you gotta wait, like, until he comes back from the afterlife. You fucking always do this, Titan. Krenatol says, what's your favorite moment?
The ending.
Yeah, I'd say the very end. That's a great part of the game. What is your most hated moment?
Lack of moment, mostly when they don't fucking... no one says anything when it comes back after 10 years. What the fuck?
Yeah, I would say that. I would say the way they handled the
Or how about getting turned into a frog when the Nagas and the and the Iron Giants are after you in that dungeon. I think that's my least favorite moment.
Okay.
Most frustrating.
I would definitely say when Talcott has given you his rehash of the last decade, I thought that was lazy. Has your perception of a story in an FF game changed at all based on the story of 15?
Yeah, I think more straightforward is good. I just, a little bit more exposition, but I don't think they need to go off in a million different ways like they do with the other games.
True. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's nice to have kind of a simpler story with some open-ended areas where it matters, as opposed to trying to figure out core elements that are like beyond our ability to understand.
Yeah.
Has your current experience changed since starting New Game Plus?
Everything's faster. Everything's a huge level.
I would say that New Game Plus is not really worth playing unless you just want the story. But it's...
Or if you didn't level up that much your first time through.
Yeah, I think playing the second time did open my eyes to a lot of story elements and stuff. Okay. So it's helpful, but...
That's good.
It's not really the same experience in any way. It's just me powering through and taking funny photos. Let's see. Strike Knight.
Is this our last one?
Yeah, it is. It says, how do you think 15 will affect the future titles? I don't think I think it'll be a minor effect for now. Because I know they mentioned they want to do a more classic Final Fantasy with 16. That's something that they've talked about for a while.
What do you think? They just pumped so much money into Versus 13. It didn't turn into anything. And they're like, hey, we're going to make this 15 no matter what. And... I don't know, they forced this one to be 15. I don't know.
I think this almost is a natural answer to 13, though. And
I think this is the way the series should go. I think it should try to take the best out of the JRPG and the Western RPG and put them together. And certainly this didn't take the best out of the Western RPG.
Yeah.
But it took a lot of the great stuff out of the JRPG. So
I would say definitely drop the choose your own adventure fallacy that this game kind of gives you, where the options don't really do anything, and you're the king and you say one thing and the party does another thing. I don't think it worked.
I don't think Final Fantasy is the right series for open-ended stuff.
Yeah.
Then they'll do one that's great and they'll say something different later.
Yeah, that's fair. He asks, did the car on rails take away from your experience?
No.
I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I could have, but I just used the chocobo for my mode of transportation, really.
I liked the fast travel.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Would not watching Kingsglaive made you question the game more? Yeah, only in the parts where they put in clips from Kingsglaive, which seems like something they probably did last minute. Like seeing Insomnia get wrecked, where it's just quick flashes of Kingsglaive. I guess those I'd be like, what the fuck's happening here? What? I guess it's the city, but now that we know, it's oh yeah, this is when Kingsglaive...
I feel like if Kingsglaive didn't exist, they would take more time to do more stuff in the actual game, as far as oh yeah, your father was fucking slaughtered.
Yeah, I think the thing that bothered me more than that was the addition of the Omen trailer, just helter-skelter tossed in as a dream sequence. I didn't care for that very much. That one felt wrong. It felt like... Because when we saw that Omen trailer, I was like, oh my god, all this awesome story stuff where you end up killing Luna Freya and all this crazy shit. And I'm like, this doesn't happen, and it's a weird dream sequence, and it's almost like they threw it in because they're like, hey, remember this thing? Remember that material that we gave you? Here it is. So I didn't like that more than I didn't like the Kingsglaive callback stuff, I would say. Okay. I would definitely recommend watching Kingsglaive first because it chronologically happens before, but I don't know.
It's still a shitty movie. And this game, I'll tell you what, the story is way better than in Kingsglaive. How about that?
I would agree.
God damn.
Well, thank you guys for your questions. We really appreciate it. This has been an awesome episode so far. We are not... we're not quite done.
We still have... We got to talk about the legacy.
We don't.
We gotta, whatever little there is, and then we got to talk about our overall thoughts and our audience's overall thoughts on the game.
Yeah.
And then we got to rank the motherfucker. So let's do it.
All right. Okay.
So
I also asked a couple weeks ago what you guys' thoughts on FF15 are.
I guess this is the best way to look at the legacy because the game's not out long enough for us to get a legacy. I can tell you there is a fan backlash going on right now. A lot of people have problems with wow, they have to patch the story. There's so many problems with it.
That is pretty shitty.
Yeah, I think there's worse things in the gameplay they need to patch. Adamantoise. But I don't know. Go ahead. What do we got here?
Shori says, I thought I was doing too many side quests till the last episode of UFF, and now I don't feel so bad. Overall, I really enjoy a lot of parts of it, and Noct being able to use any weapon type, it means if I get bored of doing all these side quest things, I can kind of switch up weapon types and have slightly different playstyles. So far, I'm a big fan of that greatsword you get from Titan that shoots out the magic missiles when you warp strike with it. That one's cool. Stolas goes for it.
I can do it.
You sure? Yeah. Tired of hearing my voice?
Kind of.
Fuck you.
All right.
How about that?
Zoom up.
Oh, why?
Because the monitor's like 4 feet away from me. Thank you. All right. Here we go, says Stolas. FF15 story.
Chapter 1.
It was fairly short, way shorter than I expected. I was okay with the structure for the most part. The parts that were fleshed out, they were amazing. I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree with that statement. And one of my favorite parts was when Gladio just reams the shit out of Noctis on the train. It's probably one of the better acted scenes and the realest FF has ever gotten dialogue-wise. My other, I assume English dialogue-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which you can listen to the Japanese version, which is a great addition to this game. My other favorites was the CG scene of Luna passing the ring to Noctis, and then that whole, I agree. That whole chunk of the Fidona Castino mine. My reaction, having to eat baked beans out of a can because this can no longer cook, or the fact that you get yelled at because Noctis is going on ahead, was, Jesus, Square, you're actually making me feel terrible about all this. Then there was just huge chunks where the story didn't sync up or was rushed. Like, it's barely mentioned what happened to Shiva when you find her corpse.
Yeah, totally.
Ifrit's backstory / Ifrit is the cause of the Star Scourge. It's in a book, or even really focusing on the Star Scourge until the last 2 chapters of the game. Some of it is in the guidebook, but there's no excuse why they couldn't find a few lines of dialogue where they can fit it in somewhere, fleshing these parts out. Oh, and just all of the Niflheim characters. That glaring chunks missing are that's just the bad part, he says. Overall, I like the story. I think Noct and company were pretty great, and overall story was better than certain FFs. Gameplay. I played Kingdom Hearts and I really enjoyed it, so this transition wasn't a big deal. The battle system overall was really good, got repetitive in certain parts, and it was pretty shallow strategy, with the exception of a few later super bosses / menace dungeons. I'm not a big fan of the magic. It was cool seeing how it affected the environment, but at the same time, it was badly designed. I did not like the grenade. I don't know why Nocturco couldn't just cast magic like how it's shown in the 2013 trailer. Half the time I either missed the group of enemies because they were moving too quickly, or if I got hit as I would throw it, it would have to recharge again before throwing it.
Yeah.
And it would have been cool if there were more spells other than the variation of Blizzard, Thunder, Fire, like Tornado or Quake. I kind of liked the side quests, but they were lazy, uninspired filler fetch quests. One of those million hunts, there were 3 or 4 original designs, he says. The reward, with the exception of the last hunt, the legendary hunts, the menace dungeons, 1/4 of the fishing, they were all abysmal. It didn't add anything to the world or the lore. Like, compare the side quests of 12 and then look at 15 side quests. There's a huge difference. Music, great. I wish that there was a continuous overall music rather than silence. In many aspects, I agree.
Yeah.
To that.
I mean, you get the little it kicks in, but it's like
I think it was a mistake to include music from previous titles because it takes away from the soundtrack. My favorite track though is the Ravis Eterna / Ravis boss fight.
That one was a pretty bitchin' track, dude. I forgot about that. It's really good.
I can't remember. I'll have to look it up later. Graphics, amazing. That last scene of CG Luna is probably the best CG work they've done. FF15 universe, terrible idea because of how it was executed. What the hell was the point of the Kingslave other than finding out exactly
2 hours
just died?
2 hours to find that shit out.
I don't know, a shitty movie. I didn't think anything was carried out over or referred back to it. Claris, Gladia, and Iris' dad, never mentioned. Ravis losing his arm, never mentioned again. Dorito, yeah, that's what I would call him. Being Glauca, never mentioned. Yeah. Even when Luna reappears on the highway, she's in different garb.
Yeah, she's in different garb, and there's no one.
They didn't even reuse the monsters that were featured in the movie in FF15. That's true. That was a weird thing. I
Yeah.
didn't even think about that. It feels like it was an entirely different universe. This brings me to my last point. Tabata and Co. What the fuck? I will give Tabata props for making a fun battle system and knowing how to execute a sad scene, but that's where it ends. That's funny. Instead of including 2 to 3 hours of gameplay of Insomnia being invaded, having Noctis be there for the attack, maybe even witness his father's death, which would have made a Regis-Noct relationship way more powerful and even relevant. With already built assets, they had to get the guy from Need for Speed in there, right?
Yeah.
He had to play someone. Characters and story, it's a better idea to make a movie. Pay millions of dollars to outsource his redesign / remake characters that looked amazing, getting expensive actors to voice lines only for the movie, and redo huge chunks of story so Kingslave and FF15 could work. That money that all went to that nonsense could have gone to hire more artists and programmers to finish off a game that was very clearly unfinished and rushed. Maybe if Kingslave was good or if it flowed really well into FF15, it would have been worth it, but it doesn't. So therefore, it seems like a total waste. Because, yeah, that's when the bad movie's a total waste, basically.
Kind of, yeah.
Unless you want to just make fun of it for 2 hours, which we kind of did.
Yeah.
The pacing overall wasn't great. It was interesting to do an open world, but the formula of 4 through 9, where it slowly feeds you freedom, is way better if you are telling a compelling narrative. It was awkward that I was fishing or chocobo racing right after Regis dies.
Yeah, lots
and
of
the
fishing.
whole Niflheim army is after me. Also, I understand that he wanted to listen to fans, but the thing that they added more in the game was they added it because of demand, like the goddamn poorly designed flying car, which has absolutely no other use than accessing one dungeon, was a bad idea because of how it wasn't really integrated in the game. I would have rather that time been spent on finishing off the story or animating scenes. Oh, and why exactly couldn't any of those scenes that were shown from the 2012, 13 to 2015 trailers not be used or repurposed? I understand that the scenes where Luna was a little girl is being abused got cut. I honestly have no interest in watching a little girl getting smacked around in my fantasy games. But the one thing this game needed was a little fat in the story, especially scenes of Noctis and Regis. Instead, we got 60 to 70 hours of filler side quest. My general feeling of FF15 is that I'm constantly on the edge of this being one of my favorite FFs, but at the same time disappointed because it has the potential of being so much more. My ranking is 7, 9, 8, 15. Is that... Yeah, that's the top. Okay, all right.
That's his ranking.
10, 12, 5, 6, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Yeah. Thanks, pal.
Thanks, you.
Good review, man. Good review. Very odd in the end where you just go nuts and then you're like, yeah, fuck it. Top 3. I guess top 4.
Top 4.
Then Zara says, my FF15 is a little different than most because I played it a week early without part of the patch. For the most part, it's the same, though. Main two differences is I had to wait for night hunts and the rating system for battle was different. Anyway, on to my review. It's no surprise that I love FF to death, playing the crap out of the series. FF15 pretty much had everything I've ever wanted from an FF game. It is truly a masterpiece in my eyes. Story, 9. It only gets this because it lacks in execution, but the outline of the story is brilliant and the bros are amazing. Plus, Arden is my second favorite FF villain now. Gameplay, 10. Just simply amazing. I've never had this much fun playing any FF game before. I would say any game before. The combat is always what I wanted from a game. It is just perfect. Music, 10. Amazing, enough said. Graphics, 10. Played on the Pro and it looks insanely good. I was floored. Overall, the game just did it for me. I love everything about it, including the car everyone hates. It truly feels like this game was designed for me. It's my second favorite FF now and second favorite FF. What? I could have beat 7 if the story was better executed, but I still love the story. I cannot say how much I loved FF15. I cannot wait for the patches.
This comes from Silver
DLC.
Shades. Silver Shades.
Do you wear them at night?
So overall, I thought it was okay. I'm still not sure where I would rank it, somewhere next to 12 and 13, which are mid-range of the series for me. I think the hardest part for me was that it seemed pretty clear to me that a lot of the story got cut. I think Ravis was supposed to be a much more important character akin to Cypher in FF8. It seemed that in our first introduction to him in the game that he was being set up as a sort of rival to Noct, and then a rival for his sister? Yeah.
Maybe rival to be the chosen one.
And
I
then
guess
we
that
don't
could have been something.
see him again until the end of the game when he's already dead / turned demon. I'm also still not clear on if he actually joined the Empire legitimately and then was convinced later that Noctis was worthy, or if he joined the Empire mostly to protect Luna and be in a place where he could ultimately help the kingdom of Lucius. Okay.
I'd like that to be the reason, but I don't know if they fleshed it out that way.
I also felt that we got a little bit ripped off in the story of Luna. I still wasn't clear on the nature of her relationship with Noct until the end, until the scene that she died. I guess she actually did love her. Okay, him, I think. And I guess Noctis also loved her.
Nocto.
But most of the time, I was wondering if this was really romantic or if it was just their duty. I'm also still not fully understanding Luna's role. At first, she seemed super badass and appeared like she was basically doing the same journey as Noct, but on her own with just her dog, taking on the gods, trying to convince them that Noct was worthy, which why couldn't he do that by himself? But then later on, she has that scene where with her brother where she says that her flesh is failing her, which I took that means that she was dying. Is that an Oracle thing, or is she just always sickly?
It's an Oracle thing brought on by the Star Scourge.
Anyways, overall, I felt like the story was more coherent and interesting than 12 or 13. I loved all the main characters, and the ending was quite a good payoff. It was very sad, but also beautiful. The bonds they had created through their journey felt very sincere, and I actually thought it was a really great touch at the end that you had to look through all your pictures and pick one to take with you. I took kind of a normal one. I took everybody at the car, which I think is probably the most popular one to take.
I took the one without Gladdy because he was really pissy to me right before, so I was like,
visually this game is fucking beautiful, but fuck the battle camera. That was a piece of shit, especially in the inside tomb or cave fights or anywhere that was foliage of any kind. The music was beautiful, however. I felt like mostly I only heard the same 6 or 7 themes over and over again for 100 hours. I looked at the soundtrack on iTunes. I couldn't believe that there were nearly 90 tracks because fuck if I heard more than 15 of them. The majority of the side quests sucked. They didn't really flesh out the world for the most part, and mostly consisted go here, get the thing, bring it back. There were a couple that I did enjoy, however, and there were a few unique things like taking pictures of stuff. The hunts were okay. 12s were superior in my opinion, though. And because there were so many available, it was kind of annoying that you could only do one at a time.
Yeah, that's really one of the toughest parts.
There were also some weird things going on with the world, like why is there a span of 3 countries, only 2 cities, at Crown City and Lestalem? Does there literally everyone live? A truck stop? Fucking weird. Also, why did Lestalem only do women get to run the power plant? That's just weird. I felt like the game makers were being like, hey ladies, aren't any female teammates, but hey, you can have control of this whole season for no reason. Isn't that cool? It's fucking weird. And also, what the fuck were those women wearing? Why couldn't the protective gears have weird holes in the legs so I could see their panties?
God, dude. That's a good question, though.
Oh, yeah. I was also disappointed that after you go to Altissa, you don't really get to explore the other continents. I feel like I don't even get to know how the continent is organized. Where's Altissa and Tenebra in relation to the Empire? How big is it? I have no idea. Again, I think it was part of the game that had to be cut for time's sake. It's really unbalanced to have a huge open world for half the game, and the other half I don't even get to see a map of where the fuck I am. Finally, I get to the gameplay. It was okay at first, and after about 30 hours, it was boring. Said like Kingdom Hearts, but with shittier magic system. He goes on, and the game was way too easy. Played on normal, can't imagine how easy it is. Yeah, he says it was a drag for the remaining 70 hours he played. So overall, I guess this was okay. I think the story, though, somewhat lacked and was overall pretty good. I like the parallels between Noct and Arden. I felt the overall theme of friendships / brotherhood and coming of age were well developed. And sorry, I just totally missed my.
And shown all throughout the story.
Shown throughout all the story. And while things were not always completely explained, I felt that they were better than some of the other over-explained things that happened in 13 and 12. I enjoyed it, and we'll probably play it again, but without the 80 hours of fucking side quests.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Shades.
Alistair says, I could write a lot to get it off my chest, but I won't. I think I'm over it now. Not terrible, mostly because the combat is kind of fun, but overrated as hell. But overall, a very disappointing game to me. Game has no business being an open world, and I don't think it benefited from it once. I don't think the world is fun to explore, and I don't think it rewards exploration as well as other games like Skyrim. I actually think the game suffered for it, in fact. My main issue is how much of this game is padded. Side quests are diabolical and make up a large chunk of the game. I can't think of any other game in the series that pads out and artificially extends the timer of the game like this, or to this degree. This is compounded by how badly the story is told and how undeveloped and unfinished it is. The FF15 bubble erected for this game is absolutely insane, though. To teach their own and everybody, Oh, sorry, to each their own and everything, but Game of the Year, really? First, second, third best of the series? I feel like when the sheen is completely worn off and we're on to FF18 or whatever, people will look back and realize this game wasn't actually all that special.
Wannabe says, great game, good FF. 15 was a great departure, interesting departure from the traditional Final Fantasy.
You having like a stroke?
Gameplay and battle mechanics were great. 9 out of 10, lots of fun, engaging, had a fair amount of depth. Story, on the other hand, was lacking. It's there somewhere, but not where it needs to be. With a movie, an anime, and all the other side material, the big moments were diminished, or even lacking where they really need. I should have finished the story 2 weeks earlier than I did, but I found myself returning to the main hub world to run around and do side quests because it was ultimately more fulfilling. There is a good FF story in there. It's just not communicated in the right way. His ranking is 7, 6, 10, 9, 12, 15, 5, 4, 14, 11, 1, 13, 8, 2, and 3.
Fair. Jay Heltonator says, I may have an unpopular thought, but I really loved this game. Granted, I may just be blinded by the gameplay. I really loved the idea of the story. I hated that I had to go read articles about what 15 failed to make clear, though. The entire Arden Noctis story was an awesome idea that they executed poorly, but I still loved it. I grew fond of the characters, and the ending bummed me out, despite being really good. When I play a game, I always want more if I'm not satisfied. I am not satisfied. I want to know more about Eos and what happens after Noctis' death. I'm a sequel junkie, but only if they do a piss poor job of satisfying my lust for story. End of 10, I'm good. End of 10 2, I'm good. Then they released the crap that leaves open ends in the 10 universe, and now I want a 10-3, despite knowing it would probably suck. I digress. I want more 15. I want more character development. There seemed to be 15 to 20 hours of potential story that was left out and just not done. My rankings are worst to best 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 9. Haven't finished it yet. 8, 14, 13, 15, 12, 6, 7, and 10.
All right. I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit here. Corey says, story of this game is very similar to 6. Arden may not be as flamboyant as Kefka, but they're similar in their roles of the story. Kind of both games had a World of Ruin, basically, and it might make an interesting episode to compare the two games. There's a lot of interesting ones. I think one of the main downfalls of the game's story is that it did not focus on other characters other than Noctis. I really like the other 3 characters and how they interacted throughout the game, but I could not tell you anything about them. That is different when all the other Final Fantasy with all the other Final Fantasies, he says. And maybe they'll get some more stuff in the DLC.
Yeah,
another thing that bothered me was the Emperor. Where the hell is he? When did Arden didn't assume his role? Did I miss part of the story that showed Arden killing the Emperor? Maybe I skipped some dialogue. It seems like an important part of the story were discussed while on the boat riding around in the car. I don't know. I had a feeling with Ravis, maybe they were trying to make him like a Professor Snape. Like suddenly he was good at the end, basically. Yeah, he says, I really enjoyed this game. I think they did a good job at making it playable for new players. Some of the quests were annoying, but I kept coming back to them. Not a big fan on DLC, but I may purchase the season pass for this game.
All right, Hat says, in general, Square continues to release games like this. They are going to run their franchise into the ground. My vote, take the budget Square used to pay for Kingslave and just pay Sakaguchi to direct a game again. While I realize he wasn't the sole creator of a lot of our favorite games, he at least understands that the point of the franchise is to tell a story. For the most part, he felt like many aspects of the game was subpar at best and attempted to copy ideas from other successful Western RPGs. Questing seemed reminiscent of Skyrim's, but less engaging. Character development between the bros was great, implemented better from The Last of Us, he agrees. He thinks there's too many things that are simply told to the player within the story, and he's not really involved. Luna Freya's death didn't bother him because he never interacted with Luna Freya in a meaningful way. According to the Ultimania, it says Noctis and Luna only met each other for a few weeks when they were small children, yet for some reason they still plan on getting married. Sort of shits on the childhood friend thing, too. It was only a couple weeks.
It's not in the game.
If it were him, he'd specifically focus on the ring, getting the ring from her.
Yeah, maybe.
Hook up with Iris. He doesn't feel like there's much of an obligation. Doesn't work for him. Infuriates him when he sees people say that they need to watch Kingsglaive and Brotherhood to understand what's going on. He said, I, for one, actually fell for this, paid the $10 to watch the movie. Only ate her to to wonder why neither Iris or Gladio brought up the fact that their fucking dad died protecting Noxus's dad in the movie. Furthermore, many aspects of the story are poorly told. He feels like he needs to read the fucking Ultimania book. He's also annoyed by the fact that major events continue to happen in the game, but he was never able to actually witness it. He still has no idea how Ignis actually became blind.
POV type things.
Or Gladio went for an entire chapter. World of Ruin, Cindy, people, come on. Core, no.
You do play a single character in the game, so it kind of focuses on them.
Yeah.
It's a little different than some other Final Fantasy.
How about we use Umbra to make sure Ignis doesn't go blind? We could save Luna and maybe go about this entirely in a different way. Honestly, I feel like there's a good story. Execution's bad. Prime example, while playing the game, I started the mission called something like Avenge Jared's Death. And I was like, who the fuck is Jared? Fair. I'm glad there's DLC coming out to try to fix it. It's kind of annoying that I've already beaten the game, and thus any future experience with new DLC will not be as fresh or new. He was suckered into believing the gameplay was great. Thinks it's horrible. Car is annoying. Quest is a nightmare. Town designs were a nightmare. It feels like the inn and shops should always be near the parking lot, not buried balls deep in the town. Tons of extra shit that had no purpose. Gladio survival skill, the other changing your clothes. Every good quest, there were 15 shitty quests that repeated the same shit you already did a million times over. Said the battle system is all about faking difficulty without actually being difficult. Once you figure out how everything works, which does take a while, it's just far too easy. Holding the block button down makes you completely invincible to 90% of the enemies. From here, all you have to do is warp strike, return to the warp area, refresh your MP, and rinse and repeat. Also, if you sense a boss is about to hit you with their ultimate attack, simply use a potion or switch to another character, and all characters involved will be invincible. Lastly, I felt like I was playing God of War half the time with all these scripted boss fights that require no strategy but simply mashing the circle button. In closing, this game just felt as if it wasn't done. There was some real potential with it, but I can't imagine a world in which we look back 10 years from now with fond memories of this game. To put things in perspective, I went back and beat Final Fantasy IX right after beating 15 to see how much it compared. Hands down, Final Fantasy IX told a much better story. Ranking 9, 10, 7, 12, 6, 8, 13, 15, 4, 5, 3, 1, and 2. 7 was his first.
Shinru gave it a 9 out of 10, and he has a very large review saying that. True Hoax says she'll keep it short. Him or her will keep it short. You know, I see a light blue logo, and I just assume it's a girl. I don't know what's wrong with me. Anyway, it's passable, but not more than that, they say. Flaming Asian Cajun, the one nation, blah, 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 blah. It says story's kind of an awkward point. Wasn't the worst FF story, but it wasn't the best, so kind of mixed I'm looking at. Overall, it says, I'm not sure if this is the general attitude of the game, but it's pretty clear to me that it's not a perfect game. It's not the best FF. But something about it will suck you in. You'll want to do the quest. You'll want to get into the fights. You'll want to explore each location in the world. And you'll want to keep on playing. Why? Because there's something about this game. That's why FF15 was my favorite game of 2016.
Someone cool said he enjoyed it, but it wasn't super engrossing. Gameplay was fun and horrible during Chapter 13. Story left him puzzled and not fulfilled. He enjoyed 40 hours of story gameplay, but Final Fantasy, we expect more depth and story and cohesion. So many missed opportunities. Makes me think that Square Enix doesn't know how to speak to the hardcore audience anymore. And does this game really represent Final Fantasy for newcomers? That was something I touched on earlier. Like, it might not, it's a good place to start, but not necessarily representative of the series as a whole.
So Skull Haiti gave a pretty lengthy review, but I'll give you his scores here. He gave story like a 7 out of 10. He says a lot of good things, a lot of major, the major arc of the game was pretty cool, but there were some other things that he had problems with. Gameplay was a 9 out of 10. He just wanted more variability in the side quests, he says. Design, 10 out of 10. Music and sound was about a 9 out of 10. Says had problems with some of the mixing.
Oh, yeah, and the voice acting sometimes is a joke in this game.
Yeah, but not with the main characters.
No.
I would say it's the side characters.
Side character is awful, yeah.
Replayability gives it an 8 out of 10, and overall 86 out of 100. Best ever, and only game reviewed by me, Nude Clan Style. He says,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Strike Knight says it may take over my favorite FF more than Final Fantasy Tactics. He gives the story a 9, a gameplay a 9, design 10, music and sound 10, and replayability / extras an 8.
Yeah. Taku Amazuki says, boy, you guys got a lot to read, and I'm not going to make it any easier. He feels like the story was rushed. No time to appreciate it. Anyone but the main four. Combat, some of the people have issues with the spells, and some say the battles are too hectic. He personally doesn't think much should be changed, so pretty positive on the soundtrack. Boss battles, game really shines on these over-the-top boss fights. Tad intimidating, but very satisfying. Endgame and overworld. Enjoyed looking around the world. It's very aesthetically pleasing to look at. However, it is a little bit too big, he thinks. He doesn't mind walking or driving, but it does get a little old after 2 hours of playtime in a session. Extreme dungeons, he's only done one of them. Doesn't pique his interest. They're pretty lame, actually, except for the Castle Mark one's really fun. Music
is absolutely phenomenal. That's what he says.
Overall, he thinks the game is very unstable. Story doesn't allow you to feel attached to anyone except the main crew and leaves out information in both story and combat. Did anyone else know without looking at a guide or hearing from someone that if you attack and then delay the button mashing, you can actually perform the finishing strike that's supposed to be at the end of a combo? How about the unlimited running? If it wasn't for the fact that I was using the circle button to run and letting go at the end of the stamina bar, I may not have known how to infinitely sprint. This few things I thought would have been nice to know. I enjoyed this game in a fair bit. It's not high on my list, but that doesn't mean I hate it. I hope I've added something to this review. Sorry I haven't read everyone's. It's late, and I need to go to bed. Rankings from highest to lowest. 10 or 9, 14, 7, 15, 13, 8, and 1.
All right, Obanya says FF15 was an FF that left a great impression on me, even if not every aspect was impressive. And yeah, it's got a lot of
Said
stuff.
he cried during the credits.
Sorry, man, I got like 20 minutes and we got to wrap this up.
Oh shit, you're right. You got to go to work, huh?
Yeah, I do have to go to work.
Oh fuck.
So I think this is the longest review we've ever had.
Yeah.
And there are a couple more, guys. It seems kind of a mixed response from many people.
Let's just do best rankings here.
Okay.
His is 10, 6, 9, 5, 12, 4, 7, 14, 15, 13, 11, 8, 2, 1, and 3. Favorites. 10, 12, 5, 6, 14, 15, 11, 13, 2, 4, 8, 7, 11. What?
Yeah.
11
Who was
that
that?
twice? That was for Oben, yeah. He hasn't been on the forums very long, so. Credital says Final Fantasy 15 is finally completed. He's got a big ass, decent sized review.
Kyo live at home. For a main Series FF game, I believe that Square has finally found a great structure for their future games. They did a great job in creating a world that you could really enjoy. I only wish that they filled out more areas in the game and allowed you to travel freely throughout other great lands. It barely feels like a world map.
That's fair.
Yeah. David says story did not make sense. And the ancestors are dicks. Let's see.
They are dicks, yes. Complete dicks. Those fucking kings of past are really vindictive and hateful.
Yeah. And what did Felicia say? She's the last one here.
Not quite done yet. Should be done by tonight. She's
Hate
gonna
the
put
load
game,
times. That makes sense. Those are pretty long.
She's going to put the game at number 3 at not just 10 out, just a bit. God.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I play to replay it for sure. She plans to replay it. Disappointed about the lack of anything happening when Noct puts on the ring. I mean, really, what the fuck? After seeing Kingslave, I expect a cutscene here.
I did too. I expected something like huge there, but then it was like, well, he is kind of the king line, so I guess maybe it doesn't happen to him.
Yeah. That is what's supposed to happen. Yeah. He's not supposed to be harmed by it. But
right.
It seemed like it needed to be a Lord of the Rings-esque moment, and it just wasn't. No.
Okay. All right, Schweiss, your overall thoughts on the game?
I think it's a good game. I think it's worth playing. Play it. I don't know. I don't want to give too much away because we're going to do the rankings here in a sec. But I do think overall it feels like a good Final Fantasy. I think I enjoyed the gameplay. I put 100 hours into the thing and not a lot of time. So I did keep coming back to it. Had a lot of determination. Hate the side quests, but honestly, I did keep playing them. There's something about it. You guys are right. We all feel it in a certain way, except for maybe Alistair because he hates them to no end. There's a pull. There's a pull that makes you want to do them, and I don't really understand what it is because I acknowledge that they're not that great, but it exists. So, yeah, good game. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time.
I thought that in many aspects it was great, and I thought it fell in a few.
Yeah.
Once again, the holes in the story were kind of annoying, but then again, there were such big, huge highs in the story as well that I almost think like it negates those.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's the second best ending in the entire series. Maybe not the greatest opening in the entire series. It opens in a very odd way, and you always expect kind of a big, huge opening in 15, but maybe because it's different and starts with people pushing cars, it's kind of a cool thing. I actually thought it was really refreshing the first time I watched the beginning, and so I don't know.
That's fair.
I feel like this game, it did so many things different. I love the straightforwardness of the story and everything like that. I thought the gameplay was pretty good. It's not my favorite battle system in the series by far. I think it's kind of in the middle high ground as far as like which ones kind of work really well. I thought it was a good battle system though. Great looking game, great sounding game. The bad guy was great. I loved the four main dudes as characters, even though some other side characters weren't fleshed out that well.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really solid game in the series, and I'm not I'm not a hater on it. I liked it quite a bit.
Krenthal says to get it on the show, 15 is number 4 below 7. So
there you go.
You got your rankings.
All right. So our original ranking, Schweiss.
Yeah, I had to dig these up from the grave. The grave. My voice is getting epically gravelly.
Caleb Schweiss's are 7, 6, 10, 12, 9, 5, 4, 14, 13, 8, 11, 2, 3, and 1. And my rankings are 6, 10, 7, 9, 5, 12, 13, 8, 4, 14, 11, 2, 3.
You doing this so we don't
1.
influence each other? Joe's splitting the page in half.
Here's the deal. I'm gonna write mine down on my paper without showing you, and you can write yours down on your paper without showing.
Not looking.
Without showing me. Are you ready? This is tough.
Is it?
Yeah. It is. I'm looking at like a fucking tie here. God damn it. Ooh, fuck. All right, I got it. Here's yours. Now I want us to guess where the other person ranked it.
This is hard. I decided earlier. Okay. Fuck, what's your corrupt list again? Let me
6,
see.
10, 7, 9, 5, 12, 13, 8, 4, 14, 11, 2, 3, 1.
I'm going to guess that you went full balls to the wall on this one, and I'm going to say you put it above 9 as your number 4. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to say you put it below 5. It's one of those two.
Okay.
What do you think for me?
You're one off.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. I think that you put it. Oh my God. I think you put it between 5 and 4.
You're one off as well.
Okay. All right, Schweiss.
Oh. All right. So Joe's ranking for the Final Fantasy series 1 through 15 is as follows: 6, 10, 7, 9, 15, 5, 12, 13, 8, 4, 14, 11, 2, 3, and 1. There's mine.
Oh my God. Let's see what we got here. Caleb's ranking is 7, 6, 10, 12, 9, 5, 4, 15, 14, 13, 8, 11, 2, 3, and 1.
Yeah.
So why did you put it where you put it?
I don't think it's as influential as 4, and I think it has some plot problems. I don't think it's quite as grand, but I definitely liked it more than 14. I feel like I enjoyed my time in it. I gave it its due time. I don't think the side quests were that great. I was never going to put it above 5, I don't think, just because of how solid 5's gameplay is. And how much I just fucking was blown away by how good that game was. I just kind of think it's a middle ground Final Fantasy overall. It's got a lot of great things going for it, but it's not one that I can justify putting above Final Fantasy IV in my mind. I don't think it stacks up to it musically. I don't think it stacks up to it within the confines of the series quite as well, but it's I think that's why it belongs there. What about you?
I got mine, of course, between 9 and 5, so it's my 5th highest ranked Final Fantasy, just under Final Fantasy 9, which is under 7, 10, and then 6. So I don't think it can really stack up to 6, 10, and 7 because story-wise, it doesn't quite have like all those. It has some
much less,
some plot holes in it, and that's really the problem with 15. It's got some plot holes, and it's also like got some camera gameplay issues that really are plaguing it, and they might be fixed with DLC, admittedly.
Yeah,
like 15's ranking might move up in the future just because of like how it's being developed, which is messy. But
yeah.
But because of 9's solid story throughout, I would have to place 9 just above 15. I was really having problems with that. I almost feel like they're kind of tied in my mind at the moment. But 15 extra-wise and 15's gameplay, I think it might be just easier and funner for me to play rather than 5.
Okay.
And I do think it has a story that far outweighs FF5. So I'm going to go ahead and put it just under FF9 in my ranking. So yeah, 5th place. I don't feel too bad about it. And it's higher than I thought that I would be like scared of, I was afraid when FF15 came out, it would just be another kind of middle ground one. It's upper middle ground for me, though. It's not where 13's at.
Mine is dead center. It's the 8th.
Is it dead center?
Yeah,
oh, my goodness.
It is the ultimate middle ground Final Fantasy.
And there you go.
In my mind.
All right. You want to reiterate just in case we have to listen to this episode again next time?
Mine are 7, 6, 10, 12, 9, 5, 14, 15, 14... Wait, what? 7, 6, 10, 12, 9, 5, 4, 15, 14, 13, 8, 11, 2, 3, and 1.
And mine is 6, 10, 7, 9, 15, 5, 12, 13, 8, 4, 14, 11, 2, 3, and 1. Yeah, that is it for our gigantic Final Fantasy 15 review episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. Go to ultimatefinalfantasy.com. You know the rest. I'm not going to deal with that on a review episode today.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful gift being able to play this game. Glad that it came out during our run in the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, guys. Our next game is Final Fantasy 13-2.
Yeah, be excited for that shit. And I will tally up the 15 season pass thing, and I'll do that after this, I guess. But Joe's got to take off, so we got to end our section.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Enjoy the grind. All right, so I decided because I had an extra season pass, I do this little giveaway dealio, and I've gone through and I have found the winner of this Final Fantasy 15 season pass. The winner is the man, the myth, the legend, Nox Knight 88, who takes partial credit for this idea. You, sir, are the closest. You were 2 off of our overall rankings. You guessed it would be, for me, 7, 6, 10, 12, 9, 5, 15, 4, 14, 13, 8, 11, 2, 3, and 1, and that is spot on. For Joe, you assumed it would be 6, 10, 7, 15, 9, 5, 12. Yada, yada, yada. So far, so forth. And, see, I put it below... I put it below 4. But no, you're 1 off. Dude, you almost mastered this fucking thing. You're 1 away from having the perfect Ultima Final Fantasy guess for our rankings on the series. Good job, Nox Knight. I'm going to send you a message on the forums and get you the download code for your Final Fantasy 15 season pass. Hopefully you're on PlayStation. If not, I'll just buy you a separate one and I'll give it to somebody else. So, yeah, man. Good job. Thank you all for participating. This is a really fun contest. I wish we would have thought of doing something like this earlier on in the history of the show because, as you know, we don't really rank the sequels and prequels and spin-offs and whatnot. So, yeah. Glad you guys participated. I hope we all had fun, and I will talk to you next week. Enjoy the grind.
This has been another production of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. The show was produced by Joseph DeGollier and Caleb Schweiss, with music and editing by Joseph DeGollier, parodies and clips from their respective authors, of course. You can get all of our episodes as well as our Let's Plays at ultimafinalfantasy.com. You can also contact us on Twitter at UFF Podcast, as well as our contact page on our website. Be sure to subscribe and review our podcast. Your reviews may get read on the show, and look forward to the next episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast.